everybody, my name is Dominique and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for being here. I have been recording and documenting my weight loss journey going on 2 years now. In fact, it'll be 2 years and just 2 days since I started on my weight loss journey. Today's video is gonna kind of be my 2-year anniversary update. I'm gonna reflect on the ups and downs of the past 2 years, what I've learned over the last 2 years, and where things are right now, kind of where it started and how it's going. And I'm also gonna provide an update since the last update that I filmed just a couple weeks ago. So let's get started. All right, so 2 years ago, it was actually March 18th, 2023 when I took my first shot. Hold on, I'm gonna get some water. So 2 years ago, I first started on the GLP-1 medication, Mounjaro. And just to kind of give you a little bit of backstory, it was about, I don't know, well, a little over 2 years ago, I was feeling really unhealthy. I was really obese, at least for my size. I'm 4'11", and I had reached my highest weight ever at that point. My asthma was completely out of control, and I was wheezing throughout the night, really having a hard time breathing, just going up the stairs to get to my apartment at the time. I have high blood pressure, and my blood pressure was at an all-time high as well. I had gone to the doctor for something unrelated. I went to urgent care, and when they took my blood pressure, it was like ridiculously high. And for context, at that time I was on 3 different blood pressure medications, so even with the medications, my blood pressure was completely out of control. And my A1C was high. In the year prior to that, I had actually been diagnosed pre-diabetic, and things were not coming down. And so really just extremely unhealthy. And despite, in conjunction with all of that, I have been diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, for the previous 13 years prior to that. And so what PCOS is, it's a lifelong hormonal imbalance condition, which affects your ovaries. And women who have PCOS often are also associated with having insulin resistance, which makes it very difficult to lose weight, and also are at a higher risk of developing diabetes or heart disease. So, hi, cappuccino. Hi. No, we're not going to do this today. Will you lay down or go play? Thank you. So as I shared in my first video, which I'm going to link here, or here, I was just feeling really unhealthy. And so I reached out to my doctor, and actually just had a regular appointment with her. And at that appointment, I had just decided to go ahead and ask her for pre-authorization for weight loss surgery. I have in the past tried multiple ways to lose weight. I had done Weight Watchers several times, the 17-day diet, intermittent fasting. I mean, you name it, I had tried it. Beachbody workout programs. And I had been successful in losing a few pounds here and there, but nothing that sustained or even worked at all at some time. So I was, prepared to ask her to just go ahead and have weight loss surgery. And in that appointment, she said that she would authorize the surgery. She's, watched my history. She knows what I've tried before. But she actually was the one that recommended that maybe I try a medication first. And so she introduced me to a GLP-1. And for me, it was Mounjaro that she recommended. And so I took a week or two, did some research, and decided to go ahead and try the medication. So on March 18th, 2023, I took my very first shot of Mounjaro. And I've been on the medication ever since. How have things been going over the last 2 years? Well, things started off really great at the beginning. Immediately noticed the decrease in cravings. The hunger suppression was on 10 from the very jump. Instantly noticed that food chatter, food noise had gone away. Like, I would go days without even thinking about food, and I had to purposely remind myself to eat because I would go the whole day and had not thought about eating and had not thought about food. I did not have hunger pains. I was not hungry. And so, I had to force myself to eat. I also noticed that things that I enjoyed to eat prior just were not desirable to me at all in the beginning. And so immediately I was like, this is great. This medication is amazing and fantastic. And in the first month, I lost 11 pounds, which could not, I was just amazed by that weight loss. And so things were really going well. I also noticed that cravings for other things also disappeared. So I had no desire to drink alcohol whatsoever. I'm kind of like an online shopper, scrolling through Amazon, and hitting purchase on just little things that I wanted. I had no desire to even shop. And there was a lot of anecdotal evidence that you would hear about people saying that their other addictions were also going away with this medication, not just food, but like alcohol addiction, drug addictions, things of that nature. And so I was experiencing that as well, which was awesome. That has weaned over the year or two. I will say, like, at some point I did have the desire to have wine again, did have the desire to shop again. So as I took the medication longer, those kind of things kind of weaned off. And also, depending on what the dose was over the last 2 years, the food chatter returned. I've said it in previous videos, the 7.5 milligrams dose just was not my friend. It did not work for me the first round. And then when the medication shortages happened and I had to take 7.5 again, it just didn't work for me. So, some of those other benefits that I was experiencing from the medication also kind of weaned off over time. But cannot complain about the last 2 years. My side effects have been completely minimal. I would say for the first month, I experienced a little bit of nausea a day or two after I would take my dose. And I really didn't have any more nausea until the 5 milligram dose. When I first got on 5 milligrams, I felt like that entire first week on that dose was the worst nausea that I had experienced on the medication. And I did 2 rounds of 2.5 milligrams. So this would have been my 3rd month on the medication, to the point where I actually asked the doctor for a prescription of Zofran. What I will say is I got that prescription, never really took it. So that nausea only lasted for about the first several days of the 5 milligrams. And I've had nausea here and there around day 3 of any injection, but nothing to the point where I felt like I needed to take medication. So Really, nausea has not been an issue for me. I know that a lot of other people have had, significant nausea with this medication. That's just not something that I experienced, which I'm grateful for. The two most common side effects that I have experienced over the last couple of years has been the constipation and sleep disturbances. The constipation is real. Going to talk about that here in a minute. But also for me, sleep disturbances has been an issue pretty consistently. So whenever I would take my dose, the very next day I would be tired. And that got better over the months over the last year. I really haven't experienced that a whole ton. But then like night 2 or 3, I would have trouble sleeping. So I can only attribute that to the medication because there's nothing else in my life that really changed that would cause that. And those, that's something that's just been pretty consistent over the last 2 years. But I've had consistent weight loss. So at least for the first 8 months, I had really consistent weight loss on the medication. It was around month 9 that things started to get a little bit inconsistent. And that is when I was on 7.5 milligrams and the medication wasn't working. So I would lose weight 1 week and then gain it all back the next week, lose a couple of pounds the following week, gain it all back, and I would fluctuate up and down here and there on that dose. Last year, when I reached my 1 year mark, I reached my lowest weight to date. And at that point, I lost 43 pounds. So in my first year on the medication, I lost 43 pounds. Well, I was going to say I haven't calculated how much I lost total, but as I said in my last update, I've been fluctuating up and down since reaching that lowest weight for the past year. So I really have not gone any further down than that. In fact, when I weighed in on Friday, I was just 1 pound more than my lowest weight. So to date, and that 43 pounds is since the day I started Mounjaro. My highest weight ever was a month prior to that. And so add 13 pounds to that 43, it's actually been 56 total pounds that I've lost since my highest weight. If you watch my very first video, then I did a 21-day fast with my church prior to starting Mounjaro. So I lost some weight doing that, but I can't attribute that to the medication. That was coming off of the fast. It was about a week or 2 later that I started the medication. So some of that weight loss was specifically due to having done that 21-day spiritual fast. And I apologize for my voice. My asthma medication dries my throat, so this is what I sound like when I'm trying to talk for an extended period of time. One of the other things that has been a challenge over the last year or so of the 2 years is the medication shortage. We all that have been on this medication for a while went through it, experienced. So what are some things that I have learned over the last 2 years since starting this journey? I learned really early on that I needed to take my shots on Friday evenings. And the reason for that is because of the fatigue that I would experience for about the first 24 hours after taking the shot. Like I said, that kind of weaned off over time, but I actually experienced that this weekend, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So what I was finding is I was taking my shots on Saturday afternoons at first, and then was so tired that it was like early afternoon. So then I would be so tired the rest of the day and the following day that I was useless the entire weekend. So for me, I said, let me try to take it on Friday evening. Did that, would sleep in a little bit on Saturday, but pretty much by noon the next day on Saturday, I felt fine and was able to be, productive and accomplish some things through the weekend. So learned early on to take my shot on Friday evenings. However, you know, people have to do what they have to do for their schedule. For me, it just worked out to take it in the evening before I knew, I really didn't have anything that I had to do early the next day. The second thing I learned is the constipation is real. You have to drink your water. I don't know of anyone who is on these medications who says that they don't experience the constipation. By nature of how the medication works, it slows down your digestion, and so if you're not drinking water and you're moving things along, it will compact and affect your bowels, and that's just a fact. So what I've learned is to drink my water. I'm not the best water drinker, and there are things that I do to aid in that, but the constipation is real. I also learned several aids that have helped me over the course of the last 2 years, many of which I learned from watching other people on YouTube. So, I learned everything from just watching people on YouTube to find out what they were doing. This was new for me and fairly new for the community in general. And so, watching people like Brittany Rose has helped a tremendous amount, and I will link her channel below. I've learned a ton from her. So, liquid IV. I'm not a water drinker. I don't naturally like the taste of water. It's not something I go to. And so liquid IV not only, provides those extra electrolytes, but it also gives my water some flavor. I have liquid IV in here now, and that has helped a ton. Collagen. I had heard early on that people were experiencing hair loss with this medication, and I didn't want to take any chances, so I started taking collagen right away. And I put collagen in my coffee every single morning, and I have not experienced any noticeable, at least, hair loss that I would attribute to the medication. So whether or not it's the collagen or it's just a side effect that I personally would not have experienced, I don't know. I just really didn't want to find out. So I have been putting collagen in my coffee every day since early on. The other thing I also put in my coffee every day is Benefiber. Again, to help with the constipation. I, had heard somebody saying that was something that they were doing, so started buying Benefiber, at least the Costco brand, and I've been putting that in my coffee ever since. I would say about a year ago, I started taking AG1, and this has been the game changer for me as it relates to digestion and avoiding constipation. If you're able to afford it, I would recommend AG1 or something similar. I will say that it is noticeable if I skip it more than one day, I experience issues. So AG1 is a game changer when it comes to the constipation. And finally, there are some people, and I experienced this a little bit, who have site injection irritation. I had, seen that on Reddit and certain people's videos, and I really wasn't experiencing that early on, but when I dosed up to 5 milligrams, all of a sudden, I had a site injection irritation. And so hydrocortisone ointment has really helped with that. And so ever since I experienced that, now just as a preventative measure, whenever I take my injection, I will put some hydrocortisone ointment over my injection location, just to kind of prevent it from happening, and I really don't experience any site injection irritation at all. Other things that I have learned over the last 2 years is exercise is necessary. Did I exercise for the first full year? Not really. Have I consistently exercised over the last second year? More so, yes, but not really consistently. But that's not what I would recommend. You will lose weight even if you don't exercise. Like, the medication is going to help you lose weight. However, you will also lose muscle mass if you don't do some sort of strength training. And also, you can plateau. I definitely think that not exercising is what has contributed to me being pretty much plateaued the last 2 years, or not the last 2 years, but the last year. I really haven't lost much weight at all since my year mark. In fact, I have, like, net, I really haven't. And so I definitely think that if I had been exercising the entire time, I may have reached my goal weight by now, but two, I may not be have been plateaued for the last year. So that is definitely, as I said in my last update, something that I'm shifting my focus toward, really trying to increase my strength training and working out. But I say all that to say I wish I'd been doing it all along. The other thing that I've learned over the last 2 years is you really have to forget what everybody else says about you being on GLP-1. If I'm being honest, I really let the stigma and the shame get to me early on. You know, I didn't want to tell people how I was losing the weight. It was obvious that I was losing weight, and people would ask, you know, how are you doing it? What are you doing? And I would just say, oh, I'm eating less. That's nothing more than shame. And we are not meant to be on this earth to be shameful. You know, if those of us who struggle with weight, many of us our entire lives, certainly for me, my entire adult life, I have struggled, especially since graduating college, with weight. And so if we were able to lose the weight on our own, we would have done that. And if we didn't need the aid of medication, we wouldn't be taking the medication. Are there people, certainly, that may take the medication who don't necessarily need it? I'm sure. But for me, I'm not going to judge anyone who is on GLP-1, because I tend to believe that people that are on it because they need to be on it. And so there's nothing for us to be ashamed of. And really, I would say, you know, since the very beginning, probably the first 6 months to a year, I really have just been more open and honest. And certainly the climate has changed too. There's more people on the medication. It's more readily available, and things of that nature, so that, you know, society and as a whole has changed. But there's still, you know, a lot of stigma with obesity and the methods by which people choose to lose weight. And I am just here to say that, you know, what I've learned is that there's no reason for us to be ashamed. Okay, so what has been going on since I last updated a couple weeks ago? Well, finally, I have been able to get a 10 milligram dose of the medication delivered. It has been many months since I've been able to get that 10 milligrams. It was on the shortage list for months and months. I think that it has been off the shortage list for probably the last 2 to 3 months, but my pharmacy had already filled 5 milligrams, and so I was unable to get it at that time either, because I had just gotten a refill, and I get 90-day supplies through my home delivery pharmacy. So yes, I finally have 10 milligrams. I just took my first 10 milligram dose on Friday, and when I'm here to tell you that that fatigue situation instantly came back. I took it Friday night, so, you know, went to bed like normal, but today's Sunday, yesterday I slept in until about 11 o'clock, excuse me. And then I was on and off sleeping the entire day. I was completely useless. Now, for the past 6 months or so that I've been stuck with this 5 milligram dose, there are times that I was doubling it up because 5 milligrams just wasn't working, and I didn't experience this kind of fatigue. So I don't know if doubling up the 5 milligrams is actually doing what, a 10 milligram dose does or not. I don't know, but I just know yesterday, and I guess that could have been an anomaly. I'll track it next week to see if it happens again next week. But having had that dose again for the first time in a long time, I was exhausted yesterday. Today I feel fine. So again, it's just that first 24 hours of the medication completely took me out yesterday. But that is a win for the week. So happy to have that 10 milligrams in my refrigerator, because I just really feel like that's my maintenance dose. I'm not to maintenance yet, but it seems to work for me. I feel the best on that medication, on that dose. So far, I've had no other side effects with the 10 milligrams. I've had very minimal food today. I had a piece of toast in my coffee. It is, I don't know, it's not early, it's late. I should have, it's like 3 o'clock or something. I should have eaten by now. So the hunger suppression is there. And we'll see how the week goes. I will provide an update, but I'm just excited to have my 10 milligram dose. Checking in on my goals that I set in the last video. I, if you recall, talked about shifting focus toward building muscle, starting to work out more consistently, and also being more of a conscientious eater with the aid of Weight Watchers. I get Weight Watchers for free at work. No excuse not to at least use it to aid me in, documenting what I'm eating, getting some support from coworkers who are also doing it, but also at the meetings, things of that nature. So that's what I've been shifting my focus toward. And as far as the specific goals that I set last time, number one was to log my food in the Weight Watchers app more consistently. I would not call that a success over the last 2 weeks. Logging sporadically. So I'm going to revisit that goal. I'm going to revisit all these goals, to be honest, but would not call that one a success. I said I wanted to attend at least one Weight Watchers meeting since between updates. I did not do that. I said I wanted to weight train 2 times a week and do Pilates 2 times a week. Cappuccino, please, come here. Sit down, please. He's whining because I put him on place because he was barking at the dogs outside the window. Lay down, please. No, I can't play with you right now. I'm busy. I said I wanted to weight train 2 times a week, and I wanted to do Pilates 2 times a week. I also have not done that consistently. Cappuccino. This is something that I need help with. If anybody wants to help me in the comments to provide some tips, tricks, I don't know. It's strictly motivation. Like, I do not like to work out. I love Pilates. I do. But I don't like working out. I never have. And I'm really struggling to find the motivation to just do it. I know I need to do it. But, if there's somebody else out there that just is not a working out kind of person that has managed to find the motivation for it, I'm open for your help, because this is just something that I've struggled with my whole life. I love the way I feel after I've worked out. Sometimes even once I get started, I'm there, I'm good. It's the getting started for me that I really just struggle with. So if you can help me, leave me a comment. And then finally, I wanted to get back to my AM and PM routines. And I did do a much better job of that over the last 2 weeks. So getting to bed on time, waking up in the morning, need to do better about reading my Bible and stuff in the morning, but I am getting up, getting moving, getting my brain working, and getting to bed at that scheduled 10:30 to 11 o'clock time. So I did do a much better job with that over the last 2 weeks, and I want to take it a step further in the next couple of weeks with, laying my clothes out. I have done the habit, what is it called? The habit, I forget the name of the books, but they have like morning routine, evening routine. They have all kind of habit books, which I've done those in the past. And those have been very helpful with establishing a morning routine and an evening routine. And I don't think I still have those books, but part of those is just kind of jotting down what your morning routine is and what your evening routine is. So that is, I want to take it to the next step in these next 2 weeks. My goals for the next 2 weeks is to revisit those same goals. One thing that I'm going to try to do differently in the next 2 weeks is I'm going to try and use my paper planner strictly for this wellness journey. I love a paper planner. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a planner person. I will get a new one in a minute. I really enjoy the Passion Planner, but my work schedule is so hectic that my Outlook calendar has really just been my saving grace for work. And so I haven't really been using my paper planner at all for work. And so I'm thinking about just using it for this wellness journey, because I do find that I do better with my habits and things like that when I have a paper habit tracker. I'm marking things off, maybe jotting down in the paper planner, what I've done for the week or what my goals for the week are. And so I think I'm just kind of going to transition that paper planner that I'm in the middle of using right now to strictly for personal use for this wellness journey, and just stick with my Outlook calendar for work, because my appointments don't really overlap too much at all. And if I have appointments, those go into my Outlook, period, so that people don't schedule other things in those time slots. And anyway, I'm just not using the paper planner for scheduling at all. And so, in fact, today is Sunday. I'm going to spend some time planning in the paper planner for this wellness journey, and hopefully when I check in with you all in the next update, I will have done a much better job of meeting some goals, having used that planner. So that's where I'm at. The last 2 years have been wild, to be honest. I went from having no hope when I went to see my doctor, very little hope. I honestly was feeling like any day I could collapse. That's how unhealthy I felt. And almost instantly after I started this medication, I was hopeful. I not only was seeing the scale going down, but I was feeling so much different. And I can remember when I had one of my checkups and I had lost the first 20 pounds, saying to my doctor, like, I can't believe how different I feel having lost just 20 pounds. And she said to me, well, just imagine if you were carrying around a 20-pound baby every single day for however long that you've been carrying around that 20 pounds, and then you no longer have that, how much different you would feel. And that kind of put things into perspective. So I feel amazing. Am I done with my journey? Not at all. I'm going to continue on. I have a lot more that I want to accomplish on this wellness journey, but it has been a heck of a 2 years, and looking forward to the third. And, again, if you've made it this far in this video, I appreciate you watching. Please consider giving it a like, subscribing, sharing, and leave me a comment. Again, I need your help with motivation. So leave me a comment, and I will see you guys in the next one.